everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Roll Call, where we help you answer your questions on all things MBA, career, and life. So let us know what's your question. In our daily lives, we make scores of decisions: what to wear, what to eat, which app to post life updates on, which school to pursue MBA from, and many more.
Of course, some decisions are more complicated than others, but there is a very high chance that most decisions you are making are based on smart messaging and perception building by a group of strangers who don't know you but know fairly well how you would behave. Our guest today is one such rainmaker, or rather, should I say, marketeer.
He has nearly 8 years of work experience in marketing and brand management. He has worked in retail, edtech, and most recently is heading marketing for a leading healthcare company in Bangladesh. He pursued his MBA from INSEAD, where he was a recipient of the coveted Robin Hood Scholarship and studied in 2 campuses while in school.
So, guys, meet the mega marketeer, Mofrad Muntasir. Mofrad, it's a pleasure to have you on Roll Call today.
Thank you guys for organizing this, and the pleasure is all mine to be here. So it's great that you have started something like this and brought me here to share my thoughts. So very much looking forward to the session.
So Mofrad, we are really excited to ask you quite a few questions. So if you are ready, we can get started.
Sure, let's get started.
Perfect. So Mofrad, you managed the marketing and branding divisions in numerous industries such as retail, edtech, and currently healthcare. What was your motivation to explore different industries?
Sure. So my longest engagement was with a retail-focused manufacturing company, which was focusing on physical products. So with that kind of an industry where there is a product focus, so you can automate a large portion of your production and standardize your products and such. So, but on the other side of things, there is a service industry where a lot of those things you won't be able to put that and use a machine to automate or replicate everything in a day-to-day basis. So my primary motivation was to expose myself to different type of industries, starting with, so there's this product segment altogether. Then there is the service, and those are just broad categories. In addition, so I also wanted to work in the corporate setting and also wanted to see how the startup life works as well. So that's why if you look at my profile, you'll see that both of these, or all of these 4 areas are covered. And right now, like with product specific marketing or product specific products, so now I'm going into that, what I have seen, that what are the differences that I have seen after I made this move to a service focused industry. So with products, you know that you have standardized product. You have to spend time on developing it, the packaging and such. But after you get it out in the market, you don't really have to worry that much about it. Yeah, R&D does its little check-ins and such, you get those reports, but that's about it. That becomes part of the marketing experience altogether, but that's not a headache. That's not something that you have to always monitor. But with service, the entire experience, the process of delivering the product to the customers, that's also part of your marketing. So that's a huge difference that I feel that when I move to service, that's a huge area that become part of the marketing altogether. So in addition, like what I've also learned was that working in startups and corporates, there are like so many different things, and like all of us definitely know that the speed is quite different in startups. For example, after the pandemic started, we launched 7 different services from my current company, and not every one of them worked, but at the pace that we had to go through to adapt to the changing needs of the market, I don't think it's something that a corporate will want to invest in or in such a short span of time. But with startups, it's quite different. Additionally, I know that I could contribute more in this day-to-day decisions that would impact the company altogether. And one thing about product launching was that I noticed that the cutoff point for startups, it's significantly lower. That with corporates, when you do the market sizing, you understand that this is not way beyond your cutoff. So even if it has potential, that it probably doesn't fit with your corporates' goals. So with startups, you know that if it has potential, if it's within your area, sometimes you want to experiment with it. So these are all very good sides, but obviously you have to do all of this with significantly lower resources compared to corporates. So it becomes a different ball game altogether. And after I like moved to healthcare, so there was a few different things that I had to learn about healthcare as well. In healthcare marketing, in healthcare marketing, we have to look at the ethical side of promoting such a service, and we always worried that we never want to appear too commercial. So my company here in the local market, we want to change healthcare, the way healthcare is being perceived. We want to bring the quality and set a standard. But when we are marketing or promoting, uh, sometimes people can draw parallels that the way we are doing things and the way other established companies are doing things here. So we don't want those parallels. We don't want people to see that we are commercial, but we are actually a voice that came from their group, our audience's group, and now we are trying to solve the problems in the market. Uh, Additionally, like with healthcare, well, when you're out there trying to buy a mobile phone, so you would go there, you get that, and you become happy. You open the packaging, you become happy. There's a headphone. There is this extra device, but you go with a neutral state, or maybe you're a little bit excited that you're getting something new for yourself. But with healthcare, you go in with a kind of a negative mindset because you're physically feeling unwell. So now it's the responsibility of us to kind of fix that person or make the person feel better. So if that doesn't happen, then it's kind of a failure from our end. So the client mindset is also quite different. So I would say that when I think about all of this together, the product, service, I feel that as a marketer, I'm becoming a much more holistic marketer in terms of skills, industry understanding and such, which is why I moved to these different industries.
Mofrad, this is so interesting. In fact, the insights that you've shared, we would never really think of it from that aspect. And the fact that a marketer has to take cognizance of all of these different aspects that go into decisions is amazing. In fact, about marketing, a lot of people think that, yeah, it's a creative function, you just need a lot of creativity, but not many people really know that marketing has a lot to do with numbers. So could you tell us a little bit more about that aspect of marketing, and maybe if there are any key data metrics that you focus on while you are working?
Sure. So marketing has changed a lot in, I would say, the last decade or so. So before the digital marketing came into play, marketing was not as data driven. You would also find quotes where very established marketeers or company leaders were saying that marketing is like spaghetti. You throw it on the wall and see what sticks. So, but we have moved a lot from that. So right now, we know that after the digital marketing started, we know that there are so many different things we can track. And that has also changed the mindset that it's not only about online revenues, online conversion, but also about the way people are interacting offline with your product. Because not all companies have online presence, right? Or online might not be their primary channel. So that mindset, as that moved and changed the way marketers think, there are so many different metrics they're thinking about. Even if it's not directly measurable, it might be measurable in steps. If you divide the entire funnel, or just the customer journey, you might be able to see that there are 5 different steps, and you might be able to look into different steps and try to improve that. So, if I just move into like some of the key metrics that we look in and that we try to make sure that we are on top of that. So I would say that the most important for any, like I would say, early to mid-stage company would be the customer acquisition cost, the way how much you're spending to bring someone in. And then you go into more details about that, which products are bringing in more customers, which channels are working better for you. So you have to have channel specific customer acquisition cost. So then you understand that, okay, this channel is working for me, even though that's a great channel, but it's not for my company. And then comes the fact about the lifetime value. So for example, like you might have to spend like what, $1,000 to bring someone in. And if you see that your product or that customer is only spending 500 taka over that person's lifetime, then it doesn't make sense for you. But if that person is spending $5,000, so then it makes perfect sense. So that CAC to LTV ratio is super important. So without that, you don't really know that whether your customer acquisition cost is low or high. So with the lifetime value calculation, the way the model is designed, you look into how much they're spending, how often they're purchasing from you, and also that for how long they're staying with your company. So once you have that, you're actually taking care of frequency, monetary value, and such. So additionally, from marketing point of view, you have to look at the marketing return on investment. So what I just briefly mentioned about seeing that what channel is working for you, that what investment you're getting, that's super important. And this return, it might not be in the form of revenue all the time. It might be, it has to be like, uh, you have to follow your company's true north or the true objective. For some company, it might be revenue. For some, it might be getting new users. Or some, it might be just the gross monetary values and such. So that has to be connected with that, but you might have other objectives, like it might not be short term, that immediately you might not get enough revenue, but in 6 months or 1 year time, you might get to that. Additionally, there is a lot of other analysis like uplift analysis. You see that you're spending $10 on Facebook, and you want to see that how much that has changed or revenue structure or whatever. So those uplift analysis, once you have those sort of data, you would know that which buttons to press. So with more established companies, you would see that those uplift analysis, those are, even though they have probably not done that in a very structured way, but they know. The seasonal marketeers, they would know that if we do this, our revenue will go up in this month. So in subcontinent or with a lot of apps, you would know that apps are always giving discounts because that works. So they have that information. The return is always there. But another thing I would mention, which is super important, is the retention metrics. So a lot of companies look at it from different point of view. Like with my previous company, so one of the most important stakeholders were the retailers. So retaining them, it was super important, and making sure they're happy, they are with the company, they're purchasing. That was half the battle won. With service driven or a completely B2C industry, it would be like you have 100 customers, and out of those, how many of them do you want to be in your mix for the next 1 year? You would know that there will be drop-offs, but you have to have targets, and you have to make sure they are segmented properly so that you don't just accurate and forget about that, but it becomes a completely structured marketing and customer relationship management program.
So you've already given us a lot of tricks of trade of marketing, and obviously you're the marketing guru. I'm sure you're asked for a lot of advices and tips by various stakeholders. So we want some advice from you as well for an interesting stakeholder. What should a startup or new business focus on while marketing?
Sure. So there are a lot of things that I think applies both to startups and different companies, even when you're launching a new brand with an established company. So it starts with understanding and getting enough data about the industry practices and customers. So let's take an example of a ride-sharing company, for example, that there is no ride-sharing company, for example, in your market, but there are taxi services. So you know that your users, they use on average a taxi twice a day. So that's a number you have. So that's one metric. So in a week of 5 working days, you would want that average usage to be 10 per week, right? So that's one benchmark. Now you want to understand your customers, that what do they do to get to that taxi? How do they call that taxi? What are the pain points they're having? So once you understand that, so I think it's something that I always reiterate, that the pain points, these are super important. Once you understand that there is a serious pain point in the market, and if you can solve that, then your product will become a hot cake. And sometimes you wouldn't always have an idea that completely caters to a pressing need of the market. That's where marketing comes into play, that you make the connections, you make it, you translate it in a way so that your customer or potential customers understand the benefit in a very easily understandable way. So once you have that data, you understand the industry, you have a good idea about your customers. Then you set up your growth funnel. Well, the way the growth funnel works is that it has 6 elements. It starts from awareness, then acquisition, activation, revenue, repeat, and referral. So I'm going to briefly share those, but I would suggest that anyone who wants to do that should spend some time understanding each of this. So the first part is about, let's say that you make people aware of your brand or your company. And it might be through an online ad. So that's it, that how many people are you reaching, how many people have eyeballs on your ad, that's it. But it's not always measurable, right? You don't really know what to do about it. So the objective of the awareness part is to acquire them, bring them to that mix. So maybe you bring them to your website, make them subscribe to a newsletter. Now you have their email ID. So that's it. Now you can track them, right? So you have acquired them. So these first 2 segments, they're usually being managed by marketeers. Then you bring in growth hackers or conversion specialists. Their main job would be to convert those or activate those customers or the potential customers from those email IDs. They would drive those people through different journeys and funnels so that they become interested about your product and get exposed to your products and eventually purchase them. So these, I would say that these 2 are the most important part of the funnel. That in the conversion part, you have to have at least one channel which converts really well. So with, let's say a food delivery company, the app itself is the most important one, right? They might have call centers, they might have website, but maybe that the app is the most important one for them. Then you look into the revenue part. So the revenue part, you must have at least 1 or 2 products. With startups, they might not have a wider variety of products, but you must have something which converts, which is quite interesting to your customer pool. So, so this is something that I feel that every company should work towards, that having one channel and then having a cash cow. So if you look at companies like Unilever, I would say that they have products like Lux, which is the cash cow, and they use the funds from that revenue to bring and build other brands. So eventually that should be the target. So this 4 part that I mentioned, these are about getting a new customer into your mix. Now that you have them as your customers, you have to focus on repeat now. So depending on your industry, so like we started with ride sharing, right? So if you see that these people are only using your service 4 times a week, that means you have 20% market share or 20% of your potential. So market share, I wouldn't say, but potential. So you can definitely go to 6, 8 because they're using it 10 times a week. So, but if you're like at 8 or 9, maybe it doesn't make sense to work with that segment. You probably move into another segment. And additionally, the other part is referral. So marketing and acquisition is quite expensive with startups. It's not always so easy to spend so much. So you create a referral mechanism that so they bring in their people. So members get members. You ideally you would like some organic word of mouth, but if it doesn't work, then you have to have paid referral policies in place. And so once you have this growth funnel in place, you have to have some experiments ready. So whatever you do, it has to go with an hypothesis. So I will spend this on Facebook, or I will spend that on LinkedIn, or I will spend same amount of money on LinkedIn and Facebook. And my assumption is that Facebook is going to work better. Then you test that, whether after the experiment is done, whether that's working. You can do that with everything, with pricing and such, everything, but everything has to be documented so that next time you don't do that again, and then you grow. So that documentation part and capturing data, so I have seen that if you don't get that ready before you start all of your activities, then it will be a catch-up game and you're probably going to miss out on a lot of data. So it's good to spend on like a good data analyst and setting those models ready, or there are a lot of tools in the market as well that maybe you can just get those tools and get those firing before you start your experimentations. So in summary, you want, like going back to what I mentioned in my previous answer, that you go back to your customer acquisition cost and LTV. Your target is to lower your acquisition cost and increase your LTV. And that's the thing that you're always going to work on. So once you have a super CAC to LTV ratio, then you don't really have to worry about that much. And you'll probably have to start looking for another job because the company would see that there's no need for marketing anymore.
Fantastic.
Got it. Mofrad, I think those were really helpful insights.
In fact,
And I especially, yeah, Sugandha.
Ashik, I'm thinking that we could actually apply all of these in our
To our exactly.
I've got the advice for roll call. Yeah, please go on.
And yeah, and I love the part when Mofrad, you gave the example of a ride sharing app to make things simpler to understand for everyone. So it just clicked with me after he said like 10 rides a week and everything, right? So yeah, I think thank you for that. So that brings me to my next question. So with the importance of being up to date with the latest marketing tools and technology, we know how you have personally continued to upskill yourself. Could you tell us more about your efforts? And for our viewers, it would be great if you could tell them how one could continue to upskill oneself in marketing and branding.
Sure. So, upskilling is something that just sharing a story. Like when I was younger, like 10 to 12 years old, so well, a relative of mine said that studying medicine is a great career. Maybe I should think about that. I was quite young, but still. But my response to that was that I don't want to study all my life, like spending my life learning things. So, but I didn't realize that it's not only in medicine, but in everything you have to do that. Unfortunately, it's not like just you study for 4 to 6 years and then, yeah, that covers you for your whole life. Uh, but so that part I think is super important, that you have to have that mindset that whatever you know, it's going to get obsolete. So it's just a matter of when. For many industries, it might take longer, but it will be obsolete. There is no doubt about that. So you have to create a habit. It's not going to be like a project that, okay, I have taken this course for the next 3 months. I'll just spend all of my time on this. I'll master this and then I'll move on. So it's never going to be like this. So you have to create a system, an optimized environment where learning can be a habit. It can be just like you spend once a week, just an hour, maybe reading some articles that you think that are going to help you. But that habit has to be in place. So that's the first part I would say. And the second thing is that it's going to help if you like have a few mentors or mentor-like people who have done what you want to do. So they will be able to guide you. Like as you're mentioning different marketing tools, so there's so many different tools in the same industry. If you just think about productivity tools, you would be able to name 5, 10, and everyone is claiming that they're super great. There are so many users of all of those productivity tools. So one way is that you quickly experiment with those, like with productivity tools, you can do that. But with a lot of marketing tools, which are more complicated, you won't really have to be able to do that, right? You have to learn and spend a lot of time before you get to that space. So if possible, experiment with it. Like I would say that, say social media management software, it's a pretty straightforward thing. But you can spend like a weekend and then you get an understanding, or at least see what's working and what's not. But more like the data analysis related stuff and courses that require you to spend a lot of more time. Then you go with a mentor, that what the mentor thinks it will make sense, and then you follow that route. So for me, I would say that I was lucky to have some people who have done similar things in the past. So like one of my mentors, she's guiding me in choosing a lot of courses and sharing what mistakes she has made and what she should have done in the past. So which are the best part, right? You know that. So this is where you get a head start. So personally speaking, I've seen that the way the market is moving right now, it's super important for a marketer to understand data significantly more. And I also enjoy that bit, that data analytics, finding insights. So personally, I'm spending more time on right now learning Python, which should move into different variants later on. So what I'm following is that I've started with a course from Georgia Tech, which is referred by a lot of people. So, but additionally, there are so many good resources which are free, so many good practice sessions in which I can use and also upskill myself. So similarly, I know that as in this market, I think it's in subcontinent that Instagram is super important and becoming super important. Then there's Facebook, and TikTok is becoming super popular. Even though in India it's not, it currently is bad, but I'm sure there's going to be a similar service launched in India very soon. So you need to know that how these things are working, and once you know that, all right, this is the tool that's going to give you dividends in this market, then you spend more time on that. You put yourself in the company of people who are doing that. Those people might be completely self-learners, and usually you would find them. It's not easy to find them usually, but if you can get to those groups in these communities and just share notes and discuss, then those are going to be good learning experiences for you as well.
So thank you everyone for joining in for this fireside chat with Mofrad. But we are not done yet. We will be back with another short edition of the fireside chat, the second part of it, with Mofrad. And we hope to get really good insights from him. So stay tuned. Thank you. Thank you everyone. And please, as the tradition goes, please share and subscribe this channel and share this channel with everyone you feel would benefit from it. Thank you.